Attention, Texans fans. The behind the scenes in Houston have heated up. A veteran once a star on defense is now at serious risk of being traded before the preseason even begins. On the other side, an explosive name, with plenty of speed and a notable history in the league, was just inches away from boosting the Texans' offense, but was sidelined by a surprising decision from the front office. What is going on in the minds of the Texans staff? And what does this say about DeMeco Ryans' real plan for 2025? Welcome! Show your support for the Texans by reaching 100 likes on today's video. Denico Autry may have his days numbered in Houston. Signed last year with key player status to reinforce an already dominant pass rush, the 34-year-old veteran enters 2025 surrounded by doubts, criticism, and, now, increasingly strong rumors of a possible trade. The information came from Jovan Alford of the House of Houston portal, raising a serious alarm among fans. What to do when a heavy investment fails to deliver the bare minimum? Autry joined the Texans in 2024, bringing a resume of 11.5 sacks with the Tennessee Titans the previous year. He was a bold yet logical choice: experience, consistency, and the ability to pressure the quarterback. However, what appeared to be a key piece quickly became a problem. His 6-game suspension at the start of the season compromised his integration, rhythm, and most importantly, his confidence. When he finally took the field, the performance was disappointing. Just 13 tackles and 3 sacks throughout the season. DeMeco Ryans, known for his defensive mindset and for not being afraid to cut veteran players who do not deliver, has reportedly been particularly frustrated with Autry's lack of intensity in practice. Internal sources indicate that Ryans has been sending clear signals that he no longer trusts the defender's ability to replicate the impact he had in previous years. And the contract, which in theory could be an obstacle, actually facilitates a potential trade. $6.6 million cap hit in 2025 and only one more year on the deal. For a team desperate to bolster its defensive line without compromising its financial future, Autry is a low-risk gamble. The problem is that this same profile, veteran, expensive, in decline, also reduces the number of interested parties. Teams like the Falcons, Cardinals, or even the Raiders might consider acquiring him, but at minimal values. The contrast with the Texans' explosive trio of pass rushers, Will Anderson Jr., Jonathan Greenard, and Jerry Hughes, only worsens Autry's situation. While the new generation displays speed, aggression, and reading ability, the veteran seems to be always a step behind. During open practices in June, fans began to question why he still occupies snaps that could be given to younger talents. It is important to remember that Autry was one of the most celebrated signings on defense in 2024. His arrival was seen as the piece that would put Houston at the top of the AFC defensively, something that almost happened, but without his contribution. What was supposed to be the cherry on top turned into an anchor, and the situation may worsen. With training camp approaching, the margin for error is shrinking. The coaching staff has already tested some formations without Autry and has given more reps to young players like Dylan Horton and newly drafted rookie Elijah Chapman. If these names perform well, the veteran may not even start the season on the 53-man roster. The biggest indication that a trade is on the radar? The silence from the front office. None of the executives or assistants have publicly discussed Autry's importance to the roster. When a player is secure, the staff makes sure to defend him. When he is about to leave, strategic silence reigns. In the eyes of many, this potential departure could even be positive. A clean cut before the wear and tear contaminates the locker room or his presence hinders the development of younger players with higher technical ceilings. Finally, the possibility of a trade raises a broader question. Are the Texans really betting on experience to reach the Super Bowl, or will they double down on developing their new defensive generation? The answer seems increasingly inclined towards the latter option. For now, Autry is the symbol of a bet that did not pay off, and of a cycle that is nearing its end. While the defense is being adjusted with surgical moves like this, the offense has also undergone bold reforms, including a selection that surprised much of the NFL. A name with a history of explosive plays, physical recovery, and a hunger for redemption was on the radar. But even after a solid workout in Houston, he was discarded. Why? The name of the moment on offense is Nyheim Hines, but not as a reinforcement. The speedy former Bill and Colt was inches away from signing with the Texans this offseason after participating in a workout that, according to insiders, impressed the staff. The problem? The front office chose to look the other way and close the deal with Nick Chubb. The decision caught many by surprise, especially given the difference in profile between the two players. Hines, known for his explosiveness in returns and lateral agility, seemed like the perfect complement to a backfield already loaded with Joe Mixon. He would bring a dynamic option for third downs, short receptions, and, most importantly, kick returns, an area where the Texans fell short in 2024. In his last active year, 2022, the running back recorded 2 return touchdowns in a single game against the Patriots, in addition to contributing in a hybrid role on offense. However, even demonstrating good physical shape and effort in the workout held in Houston, the front office chose to ignore the technical performance and went with Chubb, a decision that carries more weight by name than by system fit. Nick Chubb, while being one of the most respected runners in the league, comes off a serious knee injury and still raises doubts about his ability to be a dominant RB right away in 2025. The combination with Joe Mixon, who is already a power back, creates a heavy backfield, less versatile and with little creativity in short pass situations or improvised routes, exactly where Hines could shine. It is true that Chubb has an elite track record. He had 4 consecutive seasons with over 1,000 yards until the injury, and his yards per carry average is among the best of the last decade. But the question hanging in the air is, did the Texans err by not securing a more explosive complementary option for specific situations? The decision also raises questions about how the offense will be designed around C.J. Stroud. In 2024, the quarterback shined, but at many moments he missed a dynamic escape in the backfield. With Hines, the idea was to fill that space with a player who could open the field laterally. With Chubb, the offense reverts to relying on runs between the tackles and stronger protection from the offensive line. Another point of concern is the silence regarding the returner role. Hines would have been the ideal name for this position, something the Texans have yet to resolve. Without him, the team may have to improvise with backup wide receivers or rookies, which always carries risk in tight games. Sources close to the player revealed that Hines left his visit to Houston frustrated. He was excited about the reception, the facilities, and even the chance to return to the league, but understood that the front office had already made up its mind about Chubb. The timing worked against him, and perhaps against the team itself. It is worth noting that Hines has not played an official game since 2022 due to an injury from a jet ski accident. This also weighed in the final evaluation. Nevertheless, the player demonstrated speed and cutting ability, according to reports from insiders present at the workout. The outcome reveals a pattern of behavior from the front office, a focus on big names, even when the technical fit is not ideal. With this, the question remains: how far is Houston willing to sacrifice versatility for reputation? While Hines will likely continue seeking a spot in the NFL, possibly with teams like the Chargers or Bears, the Texans are betting heavily on a backfield with 2 veterans. If the plan works, it will be a genius gamble. But if it doesn't fit, the absence of a name like Hines could weigh heavily in tight postseason games. 2 decisions, 2 opposing paths. On one side, Danico Autry seems poised to be discarded after a disappointing year. On the other, Nyheim Hines, despite impressing in practice, was ignored in favor of a more conservative bet with Nick Chubb. What does this reveal? That the Texans are in the midst of a silent restructuring. They want to compete now, but with their own identity,